Welcome to the Authorpreneur Podcast, where we talk to authors and business owners about how they are using books to market themselves and their businesses. I'm your host, Chris Green, and in each episode of the Authorpreneur Podcast, we talk to a successful author and business owner to see exactly how they are using their books and author status to grow their businesses and serve their customers. We'll talk about what's working, the benefits of becoming a published author, and we may even come up with some creative new marketing strategies. In this episode of the Authorpreneur Podcast, I talk with Kyle McDowell, the author of Begin With We, 10 Principles for Building and Sustaining a Culture of Excellence. Kyle is a former senior executive at multiple Fortune 10 firms, as well as an author, inspirational speaker, and leadership coach with nearly 3 decades of experience leading tens of thousands of employees at some of the biggest companies in the world. With an MBA from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University, Kyle is widely known for his inspiring approaches to transforming bosses into leaders and reshaping corporate cultures. In this episode, Kyle and I talk about the importance of taking action, the difference between being productive and being busy, and how books can open doors in both business and personal settings. If you're interested in learning about the journey to becoming a published author, using books as a catalyst for change, and how Kyle uses his book, Begin With We, as an integral part of his business, then you're really going to enjoy this episode. I'm a book marketer at heart. Like, if you have a book, please let's sit down and talk about ways to market, because that's just my jam. I feel I'm good at it. I have fun with it. I can't believe I can make money doing it. So I find Nick in Book Thinkers. I forget if it was Instagram or LinkedIn, and he's literally 15 minutes down the street from me.
What?
We both live in Nowhere, Massachusetts, right? I live in one Nowhere, and he lives in the next town over in Nowhere. So I was super excited about that. So I sent him a message. I made a poster for his book.
Yeah.
His book, I read through his book and took notes, and I was like, I got this perfect visual for this book. So I made him this poster. I took a picture of it. I took it over to his place. He was just blown away by it.
So
he was like, "Hey, can you make another one? I'm going to meet Matt Higgins in a couple weeks. Can you make me a Matt Higgins poster?" I was like, yes, I can. And then I made one for a couple other of his clients, and it's fun. I enjoy doing it, and the response that we got from these posters, like everybody wants one now,
Really?
which is cool.
That's very cool.
It's been fun. It was a great way to get connected with him. So how did you originally meet Nick?
So when my book came out in late 20, he reached out and was offering to do some marketing for me. And I had so many irons in the fire at the time. It just wasn't right for me. So I stayed on the path that I was on and did okay with that. I mean, we got Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller within the first couple of weeks of launch. And then my book sales started to kind of dwindle a little bit. So I reached back out, was like, "Hey man," and he came here and shot some content with Luke. And then the main relationship kind of that we have now is essentially podcasts, because I'm on Podmatch and maybe one other site. And candidly, brother, I haven't had time to mine the world to find shows. So every month they send me 4 or 5 leads, and I respond as quickly as you saw. And that's the extent. They've introduced me to a lot of great people, and likewise, I've sent some folks their way as well.
It's fun to connect people with, right? Especially around common interests, and especially with books. Like if people have their own book, it's like this club, it's a pretty exclusive club. Even though I'm a huge self-publishing advocate, the number of people that get all the way through and actually publish something, and whether they actually get some traction or not, just having something published puts you in a bit of a club. And
it's fun. It's been fun. I've dude, I started my book and I didn't tell anybody for a little while. And when I finally told my fiance, now wife, it was like the point of no return. And I told her at the time, I was like, "Listen, if we sell 1,000 copies of this book, I'll be ecstatic." It was really a passion project for me. And we just passed 10,000 copies sold. So nice. It's eclipsed any expectation I ever had. And it's been a lot of fun, because I am, as corny or cliche as it sounds, dude, I hear from readers almost weekly about the impact the book has had on their lives and those around them. And that's what fuels me now, is seeing that it's making a difference. I mean, I think anyone who says that they don't write a book somewhat selfishly to begin with, because it is an accomplishment, something to be proud of. is probably not being super honest. But then after that initial phase of pride kind of subsides, you can see the impact that it's having on others. And that's what fuels us, at least me today.
Yeah. Would you say you wrote your book as self-defense? I watched some of your content where you're saying you were in the hotel room. You're like, I don't know what I'm going to tell these people tomorrow.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you outline your book almost by accident,
Entirely by accident. Entirely by accident. If you would have told me the next morning or even that evening that what I had done that night was going to turn into a book, I would have laughed at you. I had no desire, no thought, never even kicked around the idea of writing a book. But when I left corporate America in 2019, many folks that I worked with at the time of the creation of the principles started to randomly call me and say, all right, you got a book in you? Like, they were the ones that encouraged me. And they were also the ones that were like they kept me motivated because, as you know, writing a book is like this. There's really high highs and there's really low, I'm worthless, I'm such an imposter lows. And those same folks were the ones that planted the seed in my brain, but then also carried me to the finish line in some ways.
Now that you know, like, the impact of your book and how people have responded to it, are you able to kind of look back and like realize, oh my gosh, I should have done this earlier? This seems so obvious now, where like if you had to give someone advice, like, you got to write a book. I didn't think it was a big deal, but as soon as I did it, oh man, did things change.
Yeah, no, it was for me, the timing was absolutely perfect because when I stepped away from the corporate world in late 20, I had a non-compete and I was very, very lucky. I had quite a lengthy severance package. So I had this non-compete that said, you can't go back into this industry for the next 15 months. And then I had some compensation that says, all right, well, since you can't go back in, you're still going to draw a paycheck. It was part of the contract I had with the company I was with at the time. So that afforded me the opportunity to really buckle down and for a year and a half write this book. Otherwise, and I think that's probably the barrier for a lot of folks is just life and, real jobs and commitments and family and things like that. I was very fortunate for about a year plus that I was able to do something that many people would love that opportunity. And I'm very grateful to this day for that opportunity.
At the time, was it like an obsession? Was it like I have to work on this? I may not want to work on this, but I feel I can't not work on this, because that's what a lot of authors say.
Yeah, Chris, that's exactly right, man. I'm the kind of person though, once it's out of my mouth or in writing, there's no going back, which is why I didn't mention it to anyone for a long time, because I did want to be the person that so many other people, we all know someone or many people that say, I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to lose this weight, or I'm going to start this podcast, or you pick it. And then, a month later, that inspiration and that motivation has kind of died. For me, it was once I started, there was no turning back. And there was, as I mentioned, there were days where it's like, I am crushing this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then there are many days where I'm like, I have no creativity, nothing's coming out, and I'm pretty worthless. But it was once I started, there was no chance that I was going to backtrack. And by the way, that same paradigm is where I am right now. I've started gathering thoughts and a little bit of a layout of where my next book will go. But I'm yet to declare that this book has begun, because once that happens, again, there's no turning back.
Yeah, I actually read an article recently about, I think it had to do with like New Year's resolutions and like people posting on social media saying, oh, this is the year I'm gonna get in shape and all this stuff. Yeah. And there's some kind of psychological reaction or effect where if you do that, your brain is actually feeling like it's doing something, right? So then you actually end up getting demotivated because you're like, oh, I posted that I'm going to start working out this year, and I got all these comments and I got all these likes, and you start feeling good about yourself, and you don't realize you didn't do anything.
I just saw the same thing. I just saw. Was that Huberman or was that God? I saw that.
It might have been Huber. It was almost in passing. I don't remember where it came, but it was fairly recently, and it made a lot of sense.
Yes.
Where because I've done that. I posted, all right, guys, I'm going to do this, and then I don't end up doing it. And I don't think it's like 100%, accurate, like what happens to everybody. I'm sure people can overcome it, but we're saying it's not a great idea. Like, so to say, hey guys, I'm going to finally write that book. And everybody's gonna be like, awesome, cool. And you feel like you did something. So you take a little break. It's like, you didn't do anything. And it's kind of posted about it.
Right. Well, Chris, it's kind of counterintuitive, right? For me, when I speak it and say it out loud, it's like, all right, you're committed because you don't want to be that person that writes checks he can't cash. But it's actually, according to, I think it was Huberman, it's kind of the contrary. It's like when you speak it, to your point, the way you explained it, I think is perfect, is kind of subliminally we give ourselves credit like we've actually done something, which delays.
And social media can
work.
amplify it.
Amen.
Right? Like
Amen.
all the comments and the likes just kind of, instead of just writing it on your fridge, like, nobody sees it. You got everybody saying, "Oh, Chris, you're so awesome for saying you're going to work out maybe one day in the future." Like, no, let's not encourage that. Like, we're not trying to like be down on people, but
there's that. Hey, brother, in all things in life, it goes to show you there's no substitution for actually just doing the work. Like talk is cheap, resolutions kind of lame. Posting it, saying I'm going to do something, none of that matters. And it's by the way, it's one of my principles is we measure ourselves by outcomes, not by activity. Activity doesn't mean anything. If we're really focused on moving the needle, having an impact, making a little bit of money, like posting, saying that I'm doing something is irrelevant in my mind.
Yeah, you can be busy. People,
hella busy. Yeah,
I'm not like a psychologist, but people confuse being busy with being productive, and it's like,
so
not
true.
necessarily. Nick calls me out on some of that stuff. I am definitely a shiny object, like in a good way, shiny object. Like we made the posters, and then I don't know if I have one here, but I was like, oh, you know what we could do with the posters? We could put them in these, sports card slabs and make these for clients. And he's like, that's cool, but let's focus. We don't need to be making sports card slabs today, maybe in the future.
Yeah.
But there's clearly been a great response to the posters. So let's so I'm like, yes, Nick, absolutely. And I think he is close to sometimes being like, hey, I don't want to step on any toes. I'm not trying to like tell you what to do. And I'm like, Nick, dude, sometimes you have to tell me what to do. Otherwise, I will go to left field and have a great time. And I'll come back. And yes, I was busy, but no, I was not productive.
No outcome.
And I would rather be productive on productive time and like, hey, now it's time to go play with some shiny objects and like it's cool. We don't have any responsibilities at the moment. I try to stay with that. I wanted to ask you about your book because especially because you went back to Nick by saying, look, we sold some books. But I want to sell some more books. And the question I'm going to ask you is probably not the one you're thinking of, but it's like, are you using your book and why do you want more book sales? As in, how is your book kind of a driver of the rest of your business? Like, how are you using published author status and your book as kind of like a catalyst for other things? So I'm guessing it's not your Amazon royalty checks that is driving your business.
No, not yet anyway. No, the book, it has been in many ways a ticket to entry. And I think most authors would tell you, that was the reason behind it. It does provide some legitimacy to the market. And in my case, I think having those badges, the bestseller badges, and not just the Amazon bestseller badges, because, there's nothing wrong with them, but they are a little bit more easily achieved. So when we
say they're easy to get, I'm well aware.
Yeah. And I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, and I'm not here to be critical of anyone else's, status with their book, because I was at one point in the first week of release, I was number one in 9 different categories, which was, a high of highs. It was incredible. But when you start to learn a little bit more about the number of categories and the number of books that actually release on specific dates, But anyway, back in my case, being very fortunate to be recognized by Wall Street Journal and USA Today, I think added even further legitimacy because it was kind of endorsed by a couple of big labels. And then for me, what I would say, I've transitioned from viewing my book as that ticket to entry that I mentioned, and now I view the book more as a catalyst for change. So if you want to know more about what I do, what I've done, how I arrived in the seat that I'm in today, a lot of that is in the book. And it is, someone told me once before, information is free, but execution is where the money is. And that's where you can make money. And I think that's very, very consistent with how I view my book. There's a lot of information, a lot of how-to, a lot of scars that I've picked up throughout my nearly 30 years in corporate America. And you don't, it's not quite free, but you can buy a book pretty cheaply. But doing something about it and what you've learned inside of those pages and turning that into real life is kind of step 2. The book being step 1. If you dig what's in the content, you think there's value there, and you think that there's a place for these principles, not only in your business and professional life, but in your personal life, then that's what usually leads to step two. And that's either giving a speech, doing executive coaching. And we do a lot of organizational assessment work too. So we go into a corporation or a company of all size, go from top to bottom, meet with as many people as they'll give us access to, do kind of a culture survey and come back and say, here's where our recommendations are for change. So I think without the book, some of that would be much harder to come by. And I guess I'll say this lastly, even if it leads to nothing else, the feedback that I get from readers, whether it be directly through my website or social media DMs, is like, thank you. This has made a huge difference. I had a guy recently tell me my book changed how he raises his children, which is about the most profound thing. I have chills now just saying it that I can ask for. So that's what the book's doing for me now. Yeah, that's right.
Well, you can put it in a book and you can put up there and you can use social media to share with people. And then other people will get some value out and they'll share it with other people. And you just never know where it's going to, eventually end up.
Yep.
Which is why I encourage people to give away your best information through a book because information is free.
That's right.
Like in 2024 with Google and Facebook and YouTube, like there really are no secrets. Like what I joke about is like people pay a lot of money to go see Tony Robbins. And I'm like, there's nothing Tony Robbins says on that stage that he hasn't said in his books, in his videos that you can't get for free.
That's right.
But what you don't get is the experience. You don't get to meet the other people. You don't get the energy of being in the room. Like that's what people are paying for.
Yep.
And when it comes to information, people pay for curation. Right?
Yeah.
They're completely overwhelmed. How do I make my organization better? Let me Google that for you. You can be completely overwhelmed. But if you can read a book and say, okay, this guy, Kyle, he kind of is on the same wavelength. I like this guy. Let's contact him. And let's use this, and he can help us curate what we need to do because he's got the experience. He's seen as the expert. He is literally wrote the book, which I love as a phrase in modern day where people say, oh, this guy wrote the book on it. You're instant expert.
Literally.
Nobody read your book, maybe, but simply because you have a book with your name on it on Amazon, you get instant credibility. You gotta earn it with actually having a good book. Now, don't get me wrong, you can't put out a bad product.
And lead it. So the crossroad was: do you want to go back into that world and lead a similar size operational organization, or do you want to go bigger? Like, if you really believe in the messages that are in your book, if you really believe that you have found a way for folks to thrive inside of corporate America, not just exist, and even reconnect people with their passion and the fulfillment that so many of us enter the workforce with, but ultimately lose for a variety of reasons. If you feel like you can really make a difference in that, then you're a coward if you don't. And you're also a hypocrite because you claim to have some answers that people are really hungry for. So that's ultimately what compelled me to stay out of the corporate world and focus and set this up as my kind of second chapter of my career.
The way you describe that sounds very scary. Like, I was like, oh, that's a big like diving board to jump off and be like,
terrifying.
All right, like this is what I've been saying, and I hope I don't belly flop when I get to the bottom. I hope there's water down there. Well, I think I would make the case that you made the right choice.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Based on some of the success that I've seen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I did a little bit of research on you. I'd love to see what you've been doing. I kept track of some of your book prices and your book promos. I don't know if you want to talk about any of that, because you got 67 ratings, but if you sold 10,000 books, you should have a lot more reviews. I think your audio is out. No, you may have to refresh. Your camera went out briefly. Now you're back.
How's that?
Yeah, it seems to be better.
Okay,
I can cut this out.
I don't know what happened there. My mic went out.
Yeah, Riverside's been pretty good to me, but then every now and then it does kind of glitch.
That's weird. Okay. Sorry. Let's run that one back. What were you asking about reviews?
Well, I pulled up your book. I frequently talk with authors, and they're like, "How did you know when I had a price promo, or how did you know the all-time best sales rank of my book?" And there's a website that tracks all this stuff. So I looked up some of your, because I feel like your book should be blowing the doors off of Amazon. And so there's some opportunity there, because 67 reviews with 10,000 sales. Like how do we get more people to leave reviews on your book? Because you got Kindle, audiobook, hardcover, and paperback, and this is traditionally published, right? Or is this this is self-published? Yeah,
traditional. Okay. Yeah,
gotcha. So you have a little less control over pricing.
I've never once changed the prices, but I've noticed the prices changing. And I was told when I launched through, I wrote my book through Scribe. You've heard of Scribe, no? And the ups and downs they've had the last year or two.
I
You
haven't heard of
familiar
what
with?
they're doing. I've heard of them, but I didn't know they were doing
Yeah,
some
they
ups and
had.
downs.
Scribe went out of business for a few months. So my book came out, and about 6 months later, they closed the doors, fired the CEO.
Jeez.
And then they had an investment. I believe a group of investors came in. They put a new CEO in place. But anyway, so that was a rocky year. So what's worse is many people, I don't know the number, but many people had signed contracts with Scribe, and like emails stopped working. So they had their money and they were unable to move forward. But in my case, I was out, the book was published and all that. But where I was going in with the way they educated me during the process was Amazon will make changes to the book based on a number of, I guess algorithm type stuff, but I've never once changed the prices.
Yeah, so Amazon will, so they'll have a contract with Amazon, say, look, like this is the price, and Amazon's going to say, okay, when it sells, like we'll buy it for this price, but Amazon always reserves the right to sell their products for whatever they choose, even if Amazon chooses to sell it for a loss, right? So if they've already bought the books, either in bulk or whatever it is, Amazon will take a loss sometimes, or they'll take their margins very, very slim because they want the customer, right? They're not, their profit center isn't making an extra $1 on your book. Give that dollar away, get the customer, figure out what the customer wants, sell them some more books, build a better profile around that. So they will change the price, but you'll be getting the same royalty and all that stays the same.
And I'm also,
I don't have a lot of
I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I don't have a lot of experience with how traditional publishers handle the price of the Kindle books, because there are some pretty amazing Kindle promotions that can be run to get your book into people's hands, like for free. But outside of self-publishing, I don't know how that's controlled.
We did do that at launch. I didn't.
I saw that.
The team did at launch. The ebook, the e-version was 99 cents for the first 2 or 3 weeks, maybe. And then I've never messed with it. As a matter of fact, I didn't do it. So Scribe created some campaigns on Amazon and took me through launch. And then I kind of was up on my own. And I didn't touch it. I didn't add a single campaign. I didn't do anything up until like September of last year. So the book was out for a little over a year. And I've got a friend who does, and I have a colleague who does lots of commerce on Amazon. And he helped me with keyword searches. He helped me create a campaign. And it's hard to say if that is what kind of flipped the switch for me, because I was cruising selling, I don't know, 50 to 100 books a month up until late last year. And then it's tripled. And this month we'll sell, in February, we'll end the month north of 200 copies sold. And I'm not sure if it was the help that I got with those campaigns and the keywords and those things, or if it's just momentum and the exponential impact of the word getting out. But I agree so 2 thoughts though. I also agree with you. The number of copies sold is not indicative or even a prerequisite for a guaranteed number of reviews. I have great reviews. I just don't have as many. But my book is also available in a ton of platforms other than Amazon. But the bulk of the sales are coming through Amazon, clearly. But if you hit just about any other online retailer, including places like Target, Barnes and Noble, those places, you'll find my book. But yeah, I'm always
it's nice to have your book.
Ways to go bigger.
Yeah, on other platforms. I've always just self-published. I've always been more than happy just to have my stuff on Amazon. Most of the people who find my stuff, like they're going there to buy my book. Like not many people stumble onto my book. Now, if someone's looking for like workplace culture and stuff like that, like you're number 100 in workplace culture right now. So you're in.
I need you to teach me how to look that up. I was playing around with that this morning.
That's just on the product page. Product details, bestseller rank.
I missed that then. Okay, all right.
Yeah, scroll down a little bit. It's past the reviews.
Okay.
But the other website that I use is called Keepa, KEEPA.com.
Okay.
They have a completely free version. It's got a browser plugin so you can see price history. It's kind of designed for buyers who want to make sure they're getting a good deal, right? So why should I buy this book today when I know that it's been a lower price in the past? They can set up a price alert, things like that. And they have a paid version. Yeah, Keepa.com, KEEPA.
Gotcha.
They do have a paid version mostly for, I would say, Amazon sellers who want to see historical sales rank. That's really the big piece of information that a casual buyer doesn't necessarily need.
Yeah.
But to see historical sales rank, so I can go back on your Kindle book and I can see that promo of 99 cents when it first came out.
Okay, yeah.
And the huge thing, they also keep statistics. So your Kindle book at the time of launch hit number 31 on all of Amazon. That's insane. I haven't seen a book that high from somebody that I know,
Oh, wow.
right? Like there's books that high, but not that I've contacted with. So I mean,
Yeah,
that
it
to
was
me,
a wild, it was a wild few weeks that right at launch, man. It was crazy to watch.
oh, it's fun, right?
Yeah,
Like you
totally
put
fun.
something out there, people actually like it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you've done this. Nick did a good job in his book, but he has a couple calls to action in the middle of his book saying, hey, if you are enjoying this book, it would mean the world to me to leave a review. And he puts a QR code that goes straight to the Amazon formatted link that leaves a review for that book. You know what I
Huh.
mean?
It's an
So I
interesting
don't know
idea.
like any statistics of what he's doing with that. But would you say that your book is written to where if you gave your book away, you would still get some kind of benefit from it, like direct measurable benefit from it?
Direct measurable, probably not, but anecdotal, I would be hard pressed to think that I would not benefit in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's always gonna be some kind of potential benefit. So
Yeah.
when I say like measurable, like clear calls to action to follow you on social media, incentivized reason to join your email list with some kind of bonus chapter or exclusive video or a link to an online community that you manage with, hey, when you join, you're gonna get access to like really
Yep.
incentivized type
Yep.
things.
Yeah.
As
Love
well
it.
as the call to action to say, look, if you're enjoying this, leave a review. It means the world to me. Like take a screenshot of your review and email it to me, and I will, put your name in a hat, and maybe I'll do a coach, like whatever offer or incentive you want to put on there.
Yeah.
When you do that, and then you run a Kindle, and then you're number 31 on Amazon, right? You sold thousands of books in a single day. Then it's like, okay, I know I'm going to get a lot of those people to come back, especially if they're joining your email list or following you on social media, because now you can go back and say, hey, did you pick up my book? It would mean the world to me if I could get a review. I'm not saying leave a 5-star, leave whatever review you feel comfortable with. It really helps me out. If I've done anything for you in the past, like this would be something you could do for me. Every review you have can be screen capped and used for marketing or promotional material. Or
right on. Yeah.
There's so many cool things that you can do. One thing I would ask your publisher is, hey, what kind of control do I have over the Kindle price, whether you do a temporary price reduction or like run some kind of promo? Because I just don't know exactly how they do it. Through self-publishing with KDP, you can make your book free for up to 5 days every 90 days. There can be 5 days as a block or 5 individual days. And it's a lot of it's like an upward spiral, right? Like what you're saying is like, I don't know what happened, but now we're selling like 300 books this month. If you're on the top of the charts, people buy the books that are on the top of the charts, and then you stay on the top of the charts, and then people buy the books. So that can happen.
Yeah.
So you can use a free day to get to the top of the charts, and hopefully, if your book is good, it stays at the top of the charts, or it stays. You get a lot of visibility by doing that.
And you can do free for the physical copy as well, not just the e.
No, just Kindle.
The Kindle version. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
With paperbacks, with the physical books, I'll sometimes put them down at cost, so make them, which again, it's not a profit center for Amazon.
Yeah.
So like you could have 100-page book. I don't know if this is the exact number, but still, I'm sure it's under $4. It's like 120 pages, which is enough to be an actual book. Under $4 delivered.
Wow.
Like $3 and change. I can order that. It'll be printed and delivered to my house tomorrow.
It's
like
amazing.
you can take away a lot of. I mean, I see a lot of people with hardbacks that are in like the $32 price point, and I'm like, man, it's a lot easier to get people to buy this $4 book than 32.
No doubt. Yeah.
So there's some control in there, but there's
so
things you
I've
can do with
logged
Kindle.
into my KDP account because that is part of what the Scribe team does, and I've never changed the prices, but I can see the screen. I think where I can do that. I've never heard of the free route though. I know we did, like I mentioned, the 99 cents, but didn't know we could go free.
All right, so the Kindle's in your KDP account. Like they're not managing it for you.
They managed it at the beginning, but now I do it all. But I don't.
That's your account. Okay.
I have access, but I don't do anything.
So what you could do to get the access to the 2 types of promos is you have to be in the KDP Select program. It's a 90-day rolling. Is your ebook offered anywhere else?
I
digital?
don't. Nothing comes to mind. I won't say no, but I don't recall seeing it anywhere else.
Yeah, you can double check because that's like the one kind of limitation of this is Amazon says, look, if you want to be in the KDP Select program, you need to be exclusive to Kindle for 90 days. Right.
Okay.
So it's not for life, right? But after 90 days, you can unenroll if that's what you want.
Okay.
So when you're able to do that, you can be in. They have a Kindle countdown promo, which I haven't done a lot with. I feel it just doesn't match my books very well. But it's like you can price your book at $2.99 the Kindle, and then it'll have a countdown, and like in 10 hours, it's going to go to no, sorry, it goes the other way. 99 cents. And in 10 hours, it's going to 199. So you better buy now. And then
Oh,
12
okay.
hours later, it's going to go to 299, which works really good for like romance novels and like fiction and things like that. But
Oh,
for our
okay.
type of books, probably not as good. However,
Hmm.
you can price your book down to like 99 cents for like 10 minutes
Hmm.
and then go in and buy 1,000 copies of your own book. And now you have 1,000 individual redemption links, and the price has gone back up to $7.99, right? So now you have an $8 gift that cost you 99 cents that you can
Hmm.
give to anybody you want. Hey, join
Interesting.
my email list and I'll give you the Kindle copy of my book. Don't go to Amazon. I mean, you can go to Amazon if you want. It's $8. So join my email list right now. I will send you a free Kindle redemption link. And it's a real Kindle link. It shows up on their Kindle. It's not just here's a downloadable PDF, which like, I don't know. Personally, I don't get excited about downloadable PDFs.
Yeah.
But a
Yeah.
Kindle link, a
Wow,
product
that's
anchored on
very
Amazon
cool.
with a real price, I'm
Very
interested,
cool. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So you can also just put in, so if you have like 100 email addresses, you want to send them your book, just paste them into Amazon. Amazon will send 100 emails to their email addresses. Hey, Kyle bought you a copy of this book. Here's a link.
Oh,
And they'll take
wow.
care of
And
the
that's
rest.
helpful too, man, because I've got, like, for example, I've got a speech coming up, about 150 people there. So, but it's capped at 100 though, huh?
No, you could 999 at a time and do as many orders as you want.
Ah, that's true too. Yeah. And then as long as I have
There's
their
no
email
limit.
address, I can fulfill, and they'll get that fulfillment. I don't have to do anything after that.
You could have Amazon do it. I haven't done it that way because I prefer to have the links so I can control them because I use it
Yeah.
as incentive, right?
Yeah.
Join my email list, join this community, and I'll give you this link. And
Yeah.
it's completely tracked, meaning if they don't redeem it, I know they didn't redeem it, so I can give it to somebody else, right? So there's no
Okay.
waste. Within 60 days, you can have them returned, for full credit. So there's really no waste in it. And you can do it like this is. I don't know if you already jumped to phase 2 with other people's books too, right? So
Oh,
I don't know who
okay.
like a complimentary type book for yours. Well, I mean, let's see what people buy, right? People buy your book and they buy Evolve for Growth or
Hmm.
sponsored psychological safety book, built to finish, whatever it is.
Okay.
Keepa will let you see the price history of those books, including Kindle, and set an alert. So if you're like, hey, this book is awesome, let me double check. Oh, sweet. Every 4 months, this book goes down to 99 cents on a promo. Keepa, let me know when it goes down to 99 cents. Comes up 99 cents. You go in and buy 500 copies of that. And
Hmm.
now you say, hey, guys, I got a whole Kindle package for you when you join my email list.
That's
You're going to
cool.
get this book, this book.
Yeah.
And
Very cool.
you leverage the heck out of this promo.
Hmm.
But if you're going to speak, are you willing to like spend money on each person that's there kind of thing?
Well, I mean, depends on the contract that I've signed to give the speech. So if it's my money, yeah, I would just need to make it up in the fee. But if it's the client's money, then it's, we're happy to
Do,
buy direct as
do,
well.
do they generally just buy like a bulk load of your books?
Yeah.
Like from
Yeah.
yeah, they could do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll do it one of two ways, depending on, so I've got tons of inventory at my office that just came when I finished the book, but then also I can order author copies, as you know, through Amazon, the paperback for, a pretty good discounted rate. And I usually pass that on to my clients.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you know about author copies. Do you realize you can send single author copies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Amazon doesn't care.
Yeah. No,
So many authors are missing that. Yeah.
No, I've done as low as one. And the biggest order I ever did was 750 books for a speech.
Yeah. Let Amazon ship that. It'll cost you way more.
Yeah.
People forget how heavy books are.
Yeah. When you're shipping that many, hell yeah.
I started using author copies like just to fulfill orders. So if someone joined one of our challenges, we just go in and have Amazon ship an author copy out.
Too easy, right?
They now do it in 8 different countries. So Australia, I just go on and say, hey, here's the Australian address that I have, and they will ship it at the very similar cost to USA author copies. Yeah, I think a lot of authors are sleeping on this because you know what it would cost? I mean, my books are heavy too. I kind of write like textbooks. So it's like 2.2 pounds to Australia.
Wow.
Give me a break. Like I'll just not ship it, right? It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
But Amazon will print it locally, like for like $6. Like it's insane. And this is why I get excited about self-publishing or just publishing in general. You're able to leverage so many of these things, which will cost. I actually went to like a local printer and said, hey, could you print this for me? What would it cost? They're like, oh, that'd be like $80.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Like, are you kidding? Amazon will print that for me for $6.
Yeah.
But I get it, for a one-off.
Yeah.
But if you have like 100, 150 people at this next event you're going to, you could do the Kindle thing, or just collect their email. Say, hey guys, I'm happy to give you a copy of the Kindle. Just here's a quick form.
Yeah.
You know,
But you know what
fill
I've
it out.
seen though, and I don't know if it's the genre, but most people tell me they want a physical book.
Oh yeah.
Which
Physical
is,
book goes way further.
yeah. Yeah.
When I work with authors to help them get published, I think a lot of people think the ebook is going to be the simpler one. That's what we're going to do. Like I might get there and stop. I'm like, no, paperback first. If only one, do paperback, because you
Yeah,
get so
for
much
sure.
more value by
For
being able
sure.
to make an Instagram post of holding something up and showing. Like
Totally.
you get the published author status, the
Yep.
club, whatever
Yep.
you want to call it.
Yeah.
In the ebook, yeah, sure, it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
we'll add that extra. But if you've already done the paperback, holy smokes, the ebook is easy. Like
Right.
it's delete a few blank pages out of your manuscript and upload it, and you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I see you did the audiobook too. That's one thing I haven't done, is the audiobook. And I've heard
Yeah.
it's very influential, but it's a bigger piece than I'm probably giving it credit for.
Well, for me, it was, so it was part of my deal when I signed the contract with Scribe, but also a quick story and kind of ironic is as we finished the manuscript, I'll never forget my account rep or whatever the right title is called to say, hey, just heads up, we're doing the audiobook a week from Tuesday or something. And I was like, all right, well, where do I need to be for this? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? We have talent assigned. We've already got it lined up, got the studios. I said, no chance. There's no way that I'm going to pour my heart into something and then allow someone else to read the book or ask someone else to read the book. So I put the kibosh on that, and incredibly ironic to say, so I'm in Tampa, Florida. They called around to try to find studios to record the audiobook. And there happens to be a recording studio about 45 feet outside of my office building. Never knew it was there. It's an old converted apartment that they turned into a digital, like they do animation in the back of this same office. There's a tiny little recording studio with a little booth. And I spent 8 or 9 days in there recording the audiobook. Not a fun experience, but certainly no chance I was going to let anybody else read my book. And it just didn't feel
What if they had like a cool English accent or something, or like an Australian accent?
It's funny. Well, it's funny though, because I actually believe it's weird as this sounds. I think the audiobook is better than my printed book. And there are a few differences. You have to change a few words to make it work from an audio version. But I just think you can, especially if it's the author who is narrating, you just get so much more authenticity. You get more emotion. You get more voice inflection. You can pick up humor, context a lot differently, and I think more. So for me, the audiobook was a must have, but it had to be my voice.
Yeah, for your book, it definitely has to be in the topic, the subject matter.
Yeah, if it's something personal
combined with, it has to be your voice.
Yeah, maybe if I
do
fiction.
I think people underestimate the fact that I feel emotion can come through just audio. Like you don't have to be in the same room with somebody to really be impacted and realize like emotion, like not just emotion comes through, but like you can affect somebody emotionally through a video or through audio from a book.
Absolutely.
Because people can tell, like whatever it is about humanity and our weird psychology where we're irrational about all kinds of different things we don't even know we're irrational about.
Yeah.
Emotion is something that can come through. Like people can tell. And I lean into this because it's completely true about me. I like talking about self-publishing and marketing and books and all these things, and people can tell.
You can,
because it comes through. Like you cannot, and because I try to help people and coach them a little bit. You can't fake authenticity for very long.
That's right.
You almost can in the short term.
Yep.
But I would make the case that no one can fake being authentic and transparent for the long term. You just can't.
That's right.
And people can tell. And they can tell when you really like something. They can tell when you stop liking something.
Mm-hmm.
If they follow you for long enough, they're like, man, you're not really into that anymore, are you? Like, no, I guess I'm not. They can tell if you're putting out that type of content.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just, obviously I believe that is true in nearly all aspects of life. In my world, in the leadership world, I always say authenticity plus relatability equals trust. And you're not going to have sustained trust from anyone without authenticity. And if you can layer on authenticity and be relatable to those and with, those on the team and with whom you interact regularly, those are two traits that I think are perfect recipe for trust. And likewise on the narration of an audiobook, I don't know. I just felt like if it was somebody else, it just wouldn't connect, and it was not an option. And it will never be if I write another one or when I write another one. There's no chance anybody else will do it.
Is another book already on the calendar?
I wouldn't go as far to say on the calendar, and back to the conversation at the beginning of our chat, right? It's like, I'm not going that far. I've started the research. I've got a bit of a shell of a kind of a roadmap almost, but I've not actually put pen to paper or finger to keys yet.
How about a workbook to complement the existing book?
So we're building something like that now, actually. So we've got a couple of product offerings that one that's in the can and another that's much more kind of a longer runway. But we've got a read along program that is essentially a book club. And I've got a handful of clients now. I actually personally dial in to these companies on an every other week or once a month basis, and we go chapter by chapter. And what's fun is we take the content that's in the book and apply it to real life scenarios that they're experiencing every day. So we pick any principle, we go kind of chronologically, obviously, and every chapter has its own principle. And prior to those sessions, we identify a thing that they're wrestling with or something that they want to be better at or something that they've lost sight on and they're kind of wandering. We'll take that topic that's relevant to them, marry it to the principle in the chapter of that book. We go into the high level overview of that chapter, and then go deeper and deeper and talk through how those things that they're wrestling with could be a little bit better if they applied this principle that we just finished discussing. So that's one of the product offerings. And the other one it's a little bit more bespoke by client, but it is a workshop. It's a 90-minute workshop. I have a 4-hour and a 90-minute workshop where we go really in deep with the book with a handful of workshops or exercises, I should say, inside the workshop. I'm so fortunate. I hired a PhD of adult learning. She's got a hell of a background in content creation, in curriculum creation, and cultural transformations. She's like a Jedi on this stuff. So where I have the experience and have written the book, she takes that content and turns it into exercises for adult learning that we package and sell as well.
Yeah, printed or just like PDFs they print or
PDFs.
How's that work?
PDFs. Yep. We're partnering, or we're working on a partnership with a company that does 100% mobile learning. So they take all the content out of the book and they'll create chapters on their app, and it's got kind of gamification, a gamification element to it. So that's kind of in the early stages, but ultimately there will be for lack of a better term, a library of content, and that content will be over and above what's in the book, and it'll include the workshops, the workbooks, from both an individual progress perspective as well as a group and team environment for inside of companies that have a desire to change and have a different way of leading.
No, it would be so much fun to be a marketer at your company. They have all of these different types of content that you can combine and bundle digitally and physically, just to help the most people. And because people learn different ways. Some people like digital, some people like gamification on apps, some people like sitting down with a book, some people need to hear it. If they hear it, if Kyle would just say it to me, I'll believe it. Yeah. That's one of like the psychological things that I obsess over in a little bit, because my son wanted to play football, and we're up here in New England, so of course Tom Brady is like household name. And he would continually throw the ball sidearm, and he's a tall kid. I'm like, dude, if you want to throw, like, you got to throw it up over your head, throw it like this. Top. Yeah. And he wouldn't do it. And I was like, I told him, like, not in like a real frustration tone, but it was a moment where I was like, if Tom Brady was here and told you to throw this way, in 6 seconds, you would throw that way for the rest of your life. So what's the difference? And as I said that, I was like, what is the difference? Why do I need to go to a Tony Robbins event and hear him scream in my face when he could scream in my face from my computer? What is the difference? And you start to realize, wait a minute, humans are just weird. And we take advice from people we look up to. We don't take things serious. We don't change things in our life until a traumatic event happens. Like all kinds of things that are non-intuitive, irrational. Yeah. But if you can identify some of those things, I'm trying to make a list. I'm trying to collect a few of these things and maybe write a book one day and be like, I think Adam Grant put out a book, like, You Are Not So Smart, or there's something like that. Or I think again was his. But if you realize these things, then you can say, okay, what is my goal? Like, is my goal to be happy? Okay, if my goal is to be happy, then what should I do? Yeah. And a classic example, have you ever heard, it's going to be a trick question, but I'll ask you anyway. If you're maximizing for happiness, Would you rather win a silver medal in the Olympics or a bronze medal?
If I'm maximizing for happiness,
Yeah.
I want the gold.
Well, you're not going to get the gold. Silver or bronze?
Silver.
Yeah. That's the wrong answer.
For
Generally.
For you.
It isn't 100%. But if you look at like Olympic athletes who have won the silver and won the bronze, generally the bronze medalists are psyched. They're like, oh my gosh, yes, they're so happy. And silver is, they sometimes have this sour look on their face where they're like disappointed, and because they're so close to gold, where bronze is so close to nothing, right? So they're just happy they got a medal. So and the majority of people would be happier with a bronze medal than a silver medal, like in the moment, right? And like 5 years after, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I got silver, second place. That's so good. Like, but if you just look at the people when they get their medals, bronze is having the time of their life, and silver is thinking, I was 0.001 seconds away from gold, and this was my last Olympics. And
yeah,
which is why I frame it maximize for happiness.
I see that very differently, to be honest, with respect. I think if I am elated with a bronze, I entered this contest thinking that I wasn't going to win. Because if I'm elated with bronze, that means I'm just happy to be up here. To your point, I can see why someone with silver would be less elated at the moment, because they came into the contest with the mindset they were going to win, and they have fallen short. So I think the premise of your question is absolutely the right one, and that is, if you're maximizing only for happiness, which I think in this scenario, there's a fine line between happiness and satisfaction. So I could be happy that I have a silver, but I'm not satisfied because I came here to get gold. And I just feel like if I enter a contest and I'm happy and I'm excited and elated that I finished third, that's just not how I'm wired. And I'm not being critical of anyone who's wired any way differently. But I just feel like if that's the case, your paradigm entering this contest was, I just need to get on the podium.
I've seen that similar mindset. I don't know if you ever watched the TV show Survivor, where like contestants want to get they want to get to the jury, right? Just so they could be on TV a little bit more. And you would actually see, there were rare clips where like they actually kind of let it out, where someone's like, I just want to get on the jury. And like, so they're not playing to win. They're playing to get on TV as much as possible.
Yeah.
Thing. And it's, and you could see that, like, oh, some of these players are here to win. Some of them just want to, like just be on the podium. And it might be someone who got bronze who like really had no expectations of actually medaling, being like, look, I'm here. Our country's not really known for the sport. Whoa, something crazy happened, and I actually got. So there are so many completely different variables that will affect that. So it's not a 100% across the board kind of thing. So I like your answer, like gold. I'm here to win, sucker. Like, man, okay, I forgot about that guy.
Like Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. That's why we're here.
You should write a book about that.
Well, that's funny you say that, brother, because there is, I've got a little bit of a lean of where I'm going to take the next book, and it is more sports and athletes and athletic in nature. So and that's the beauty of these principles that I'm so committed to evangelizing, is they're not just applicable to our work lives and to those that want to level up their leadership impact. There's a personal, our personal lives. My personal life has been radically impacted by living with these principles, and I'm fortunate enough to be close to some folks that make a living playing sports, and they've also shared that those principles are absolutely important to them and how they go about their business, because it's about creating and promoting a team environment, the atmosphere of team, that no one person is more important or more valuable than the rest, and we collectively have to be our best to achieve the goals that we're chasing. So I am leaning that way, but I just haven't kind of put the stake in the sand to say this is what we're doing.
It can be tough once you realize, wait a minute, I can publish anything. Well, then now you have to choose what you're going to publish.
Yeah,
right. It's like, oh shoot, now I have infinite choice and options.
Yeah, there's danger in that too, right? But there's
dangers in so many. I suffer from decision fatigue, and I try to explain this to my kids sometimes. It's like when you're doing it on your own, when it's you have to make every decision. Right. What page something's going to start on, what font, what color, what's going to be underlined, what's going to be italicized, and that can be exhausting,
daunting,
and
intimidating.
Sometimes, like, just let someone else do it, right? Like, no, there's no one else. It's just you. You have to do it yourself. on your book.
Well, especially as if it's some fancy MBA textbook. This is written to be consumed. I do hear that feedback a lot. Like, Kyle, the concepts have had a huge impact on me. They're incredibly profound, but the book itself was a really easy read. I'm like, no offense taken. That was intentional.
It should be easy. Like,
Yeah,
that's actually a skill that maybe you don't even realize you have, is to able to take something and put it in, make it simple, and have it. I'm guessing people also say that this book is in your voice. Like, this sounds like you. Like, when I read it, it sounds, I can hear your voice. Yeah. That is a skill that I've had people say that to me, where I didn't do it intentionally. I just don't know how else to write. I just
how
write
can
like,
you do it? Yeah, I can't write like somebody else.
However, apparently that's a skill that is actually kind of rare, and so lean into it and take advantage of it.
I will. Okay, thank you.
Part of me thinks we need to talk to Nick and get him to send a copy of his book, or at least a Kindle book, for everybody that gets a copy of your book, because it sounds like a lot of the workshops you do are about like implementing this.
Yes.
And I'm like I'm so glad Nick finally wrote his book, because I'm sure at the time, I know I've heard him say this. He's like, do people really need a book about how to read books? It's like, apparently they do, like how to actually implement, how to actually take good notes, how to actually identify the shortcomings, how to actually replace them with new things.
Yeah.
That was lacking.
It's a skill, right? I mean, he was the one that got me kind of leaning away from audiobooks, which has always been my choice, just because I could do it in the car, I can do it on the treadmill, do it in the gym, whatever. But I've learned that I'm missing out on real absorption of the content, because your brain goes elsewhere. You kind of, instead of just tearing this book up. I had a client, well, I call him a prospect, not a client yet, but someone that reached out. We've had a handful of conversations about doing some work together. She showed me her book. Dude, it looked like it had been chewed on, like page after page, wrinkle after wrinkle, different color ink all over it, Post-it sticking out all over the place. A couple pages were torn out because they were so impactful to her. She put them on her wall. So I've never done that, and learning that from Nick was really kind of cool for me.
I started the exact same thing. So when I took Nick's book, and that's how I made his first poster, was by saying, wait a minute, here is this amazing visual. I'm taking notes, I'm highlighting. I had all the note tags in it.
Cool. Very cool.
I was like, all right, I'm actually take Nick's advice and try this. And it absolutely works.
It sticks, right? It sticks. It sticks that way.
Do you have your own merch line for, like, if I want to buy a We shirt? Do you guys have that yet?
We when we launched the book, we did launch wristbands, shirts, and hats. But candidly, I couldn't keep up with the fulfillment. We're a team of 3. So I have opted to put that off. If somebody wants a shirt, I'll usually send them, because I have a handful of boxes. But it is also in the works, but not. I haven't placed a huge emphasis on it.
Well, if you wanted to, because I talk so much about self-publishing and KDP, Amazon also has a completely free print-on-demand merch platform. It's called Merch by Amazon. Actually, it's not called Merch by Amazon anymore. It's called Amazon Merch on Demand. It's completely free. The website is Merch. It's like completely free. They have T-shirts and hoodies and phone cases and pop sockets and every size you can imagine, every color you can imagine.
No way.
And it's built into Amazon. It's all Prime eligible with free returns. When someone orders it, Amazon prints it and gives you a royalty. It's just like print-on-demand books. It's just print-on-demand merchandise. Wow. But it's on Amazon Prime. I mean, to me, that I'm such an Amazon guy. I've been working close with Amazon since like 06 or 07. Wow. One of the first FBA sellers that they had. Wrote the first book about Amazon, and published it in 2011. And it's just being on Amazon is what makes it matter, right? Like, there's print-on-demand sites like Printify and Printful and all this stuff, but they're not on Amazon, right? Yeah. Like, being on Amazon with a one-click checkout, give me a yellow women's medium, done.
So what do you do? Upload JPEGs or files that they? Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
They'll give you the file size and the format that they need, and that's literally it. You set the price, which will set your royalty. You can price them low to say, look, I'm just happy someone's wearing my T-shirt, or price them to actually make some money. I generally price low.
I would as well.
$19.95 for a T-shirt, $25.95, $24.95 type of thing. Oh. But then it's another thing where you can say, hey guys, buy my book and you're gonna get a T-shirt.
Yeah, very cool.
So you can actually gift. I think you can gift a T-shirt. So Amazon does have a gift program. So if I had your phone number, I could send you a copy of my book just by saying, send this book to Kyle. This is his number. And then you'll get a text from Amazon saying, hey, Chris Green bought you this book. click here and enter your address. And you'll enter your address and it'll ship with free Prime benefits and all this stuff. So you can do it with your own book. You can do it with someone else's book. That only works through the mobile app. So don't try that on desktop. But on mobile, mark it as a gift. And you can play around with it and be like, wait a minute, I only have to put in their phone number or their email, and Amazon's literally going to do the rest. And you can include a note. The one thing is,
I think I recall seeing this. I've never done it though.
It's not full checkout. It's just a gift version. You can go through full checkout with a gift, but if you only have phone number or email, because that way you don't have to give me your address. You're like, I don't know this Chris Green guy. I don't want to give my address.
Yeah.
Phone number or email, that's all it is. You can send your products. You can send other people's products. But imagine running a promo where it said, look, I'm happy to give you a T-shirt. Just let me know what size. And now you can just go have Amazon print it and ship it. And you don't have any boxes in your office. And you don't have to order 100 at a time. And you don't have to, does anyone want women's extra small? Do we need to order that again?
Yeah, and it's sitting here taking up space and collecting dust.
Just have Amazon do it. Everybody that comes to an event, you can gift them with different things. And so it's, to me, like, I get excited about all the different ways that people can use these platforms.
Yeah.
And they simply don't know about it,
That's true. That is, I
get
never
happy
heard of that.
Just to share it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
It's been out for a while. 2015, that came out before the 2016 election, which you can imagine how many people were uploading election-themed T-shirts.
Yeah.
And they sold really well.
And I'm guessing I can embed that. I can embed links in my website and have them.
Sure. They're just regular Amazon listings.
Yeah.
You can make them unlisted, meaning only they won't be searchable on Amazon if you had a reason to do that.
Yeah.
But they're just regular Amazon links.
Oh man, that's.
But you control the price.
That's going on the list. That's going on the to-do list for this week, brother. That's news to me. I got to check that out.
Yeah, it's a winner of a platform because you can upload your logo, your phrases that you say, just an image of the book. You could upload an image of your face, or the hardcore, cool. Heck yeah, post on social media. First person to order a shirt with my face on it and take a picture on social media gets 10 copies of my book, or gets a 10-minute consultation, or whatever prize you want to give.
Yeah,
it's just so many cool things open up when you start using.
It does open the door to a lot of
marketing.
It's fantastic. Wow. Okay, I got some work to do.
I'm a marketer at heart, man.
Thank you for that.
Well, I'm super thankful that you gave an hour of your time to come hang out with us today.
It's my pleasure.
People want to learn more about you. Where's the best place that they can go to find out more about you, your book, what you're doing on social media, and what you have going on?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. So my email, my website is kylemcdowellinc.com, and all of my social handles are the same. Essentially, every platform is at kylemcdowellinc.com. The book is called Begin with We: 10 Principles for Building and Sustaining a Culture of Excellence. And I mentioned at the top of our conversation, hearing from readers, followers, folks that are interested in my message and how I might be able to help them. I don't just share those social handles because I'm chasing followers. It's not, I'm too old for that and don't get a lot of excitement around that. So I share it because I want people to use it. And if there are ways that I might be able to help, either through the book or one-on-one scenarios, or maybe having me at your next conference or big meeting within your company, reach out, and I would love to hear from you and see what I can do to help.
Oh, that's the best way to do it. And if anybody's looking for it on Amazon, Begin with We. It's going to be the number one result. It's going to pop up right at the top. And if you buy the book, leave a review.
I would love that.
Leave a review.
Yeah, reviews are very helpful.
Leave a review and then send Kyle a message. And it's I would make that as a kind of a shortcut way to get someone's attention, right? You see someone with a book, buy their book, leave them a review, and then contact them saying, hey, I bought your book. I loved it. And I left you a review. I gotta guess you're gonna have a 90% chance of getting a response from somebody.
And it matters. It means the world. It is a quantifiable way to say, I appreciate the work that you've done and it mattered. And everybody wants to hear that. So it matters a lot. Thank you for saying that part.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us on the Authorpreneur Podcast. We'll chat soon.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Authorpreneur Podcast. If you'd like more information about this episode's guest, you can find links to their books, websites, and social media profiles in the show notes and video description. If you're an author or business owner who's interested in learning more about how you can use books and published author status to market and grow your business or personal brand, Or if you're an aspiring author looking for more information about the publishing process, you can find more information and request an author audit at authorpreneur.com. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to recommend someone, please reach out via email to chris@authorpreneur.com. Remember, a book is just a book, but when it's your book, it's an asset. #Authorpreneur.